Savidge Kitchen. Today we are going to be making a smoked lavender old fashioned. I have been wanting to make this drink for a while. If you've been with me for a little while, you know that I love lavender as a flavor. I like it in my black lavender latte, which I will put a link to up here. I also do a lavender lemonade that is delicious. And it just seems like I needed to come up with a bourbon cocktail that also incorporates lavender. The way we are going to smoke this is with this super fun device that my friend Dimitri in Latvia sent me a couple months ago now. Thank you, Dimitri. And if you're on the old IG Instagram, you can follow him. There's a lot of companies that make devices like this, but I actually really like this one that Dimitri sent me. And what this is, I'm gonna show you here, is it's sort of a little hat that goes on your cocktail and traps the smoke inside. So this is what we're gonna use to smoke our cocktail. It's pretty effective and it looks super cool. So that's gonna be fun. Then to enhance our lavender flavor, instead of a regular simple syrup, we're gonna be using a lavender infused simple syrup. This simple syrup is super easy to make. I'm gonna put a link up here on how to make this syrup in particular, but literally, cup of sugar, cup of water, throw some lavender in there, let it simmer, lavender syrup. And it's floral, it's herbaceous. It might remind you of soap a little bit, but it doesn't taste like soap. It's really, really tasty. I also have some lavender bitters. You could use any type of bitters, but really to enhance that lavender flavor, why not try some lavender bitters? And then we're gonna smoke with some dried lavender. Now, hopefully you're gonna have this because you're gonna need it to infuse your lavender syrup, but you could also smoke this with cherry wood. Maybe if you want more of a winter cocktail, smoking this with cinnamon would actually probably be really delicious. In fact, I kind of want to try that another time. And that's it. This is all we need for ingredients. It's an old fashioned, so it's going to be 2 parts bourbon, 1 part simple syrup, some bitters, and a lot of joy. That's really all an old fashioned is. So let's get into it. We are going to take our mixing glass, add some ice, so for bourbon, I am using a bourbon that I really enjoy drinking. I highly recommend that when you're making an old fashioned, you choose a bourbon that you like to drink neat as well, because there's not a lot of room to hide in this cocktail. We've only got 3 ingredients, so the flavors in your bourbon are gonna be really prominent in the cocktail. I'm using this Uncle Nearest 1856, which if you haven't tried this yet, do yourself a favor, get some Uncle Nearest. This is absolutely fantastic. The story behind this bourbon honestly is one of my favorites in the spirit industry. Uncle Nearest, if you're unfamiliar, was a real man. This is a real person, and he was a mentor to Jack Daniels, and he was whitewashed from history. And it wasn't until recently, like within the past 20 years, that the story of this man, Uncle Nearest, was revealed, and it really adds to the legacy of Jack Daniels in general. So then enter Fawn Weaver, who decided to start this distillery as a legacy for the Nearest family, and create a bourbon in the style that he initially intended with Jack Daniels so many years ago. Oh my God, it smells so good. It's really good. So to taste this, it's instantly notes of caramel, vanilla. You have a little bit of oak. It definitely has that familiar bourbon burn, but it's so, so smooth. And it has it's got a little bit of spice to it. It's really, really good. So in this cocktail, in an old fashioned, this is gonna be the standout. And then that lavender syrup is gonna mellow it just a little bit. And then the smoke is gonna bring us to a whole new level. You can tell I'm pretty excited about this. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of our bourbon. And then we're gonna do 1 ounce of our lavender syrup. You could do this, without lavender syrup, it's just gonna be an old fashioned then. And you could add lavender bitters, but the lavender syrup really does something special here. So I highly recommend taking the extra 10 minutes to make lavender syrup. Then we're gonna add 3 drops, maybe, there we go, of bitters. And stir this down so that ice works its magic. All right, let's give this a taste. Okay, if you don't like lavender, don't do this. But if you haven't tried lavender, this is a really cool way to introduce the flavor into your palate. Also, if you don't want to go so lavender heavy, you could try this with a different type of bitters. I pulled these apple blossom bitters from Hella. These are really good. Cherry bitters, even just a regular angostura or peychaud's would be really good. But I love lavender, so we're going all in. Now for the fun part. So you're gonna take your smoker, place it over the glass, and then you're gonna put whatever fuel you want to infuse the smoke with. So in this case, it's a lavender extravaganza. I'm just gonna add some lavender. Like I said, you could do wood, you could do another type of dried spice. I really do think cinnamon would be amazing. And there are a couple different ways to smoke too. If you don't have a device like this, you can do the trusty skillet trick, which I'll put a link to up here. If you have a skillet, burn whatever your fuel is in the skillet and invert your glass pre-cocktail and let the smoke collect in the glass. It's going to create a different flavor though, because you're smoking the glass and not the spirit. But whatever way you want to set things on fire, I'm not judging you. It is cool. I love the smell of fire. It's just really good. I'm gonna let that hang out for a minute. Okay, and then to garnish this, my best friend in the world has a beautiful place where she has lots and lots of lavender. So thank you, Megan, for my dried lavender. And there we go. Our smoked lavender old fashioned. Let's give it a taste. Oh. Yeah. Oh my God. So the smoke, it's not just a parlor trick. It's not something that just looks cool. It definitely adds an element to the cocktail. And especially this cocktail, where we leaned really hard into a flavor profile with the lavender, the smoke just adds this extra dimension that makes it a little bit more complex. Whew, I'm not mad at this. Cheers, friends.